Okay, here's the part 2 for a question on Twitter about whether or not it's safe to click on untrusted links. I think what's interesting is this question intentionally excluded social engineering and just wanted to focus on direct exploits from the single click of a link. While it's true I did list a couple of those, I think the bigger thing that you need to worry about is actually the social engineering that's excluded from the question. One example is OAuth phishing. This is an attack that requires 2 clicks of a button instead of 1 click of a button. First to click the original link and then to click an allow button to allow an attacker to get access to your data. This attack is really easy to pull off. I have seen it in the wild used by real adversaries. And while you can set policies in places like Google and Slack to disallow these types of grants for an organization, members of an organization often have personal accounts, personal drives, where if they click an allow button, they may accidentally give access to all of their personal data. And depending on the threat profile of your organization, that may or may not fall into the scope of things that you need to worry about. The thing is, when we talk about security awareness and security advocacy, I think it's important to come up with one consistent message that can be understood by technical people and non-technical people alike. For me, that message is always exercise caution. If you see something kind of suspicious, forward it to your security team. That's one clear, consistent message that doesn't need your entire audience to understand all these complex attacks. It also covers things like phishing and social engineering and even more complex phishing attacks like OAuth attacks. It's a blanket policy that I think most people can wrap their heads around. If you take a policy that says link clicking is always safe, but it becomes a problem when you put your password into the next field or when you click the allow button on the next page, I think that can really create a lot of confusion for people. Not to mention it excludes certain technical attacks that don't require that extra step. The security landscape is always evolving and always changing, and there will be extra protections to help with a lot of these things. For example, if your organization runs a zero trust environment with full host isolation as well as a strong authentication proxy, it actually helps with some, but not all of these issues. But all of this is a long way of saying, for me, I think if I were to set security policy and awareness for an organization, I would just leave it at be cautious on clicking on stuff and forward suspicious things to your security team.